Hey nerds, what's up? Today's video I am going to be doing my top 10 books of 2018, although I do have a few extras on there because I couldn't decide. And so let's just get right on into this. First off, I do want to mention the only 4-star book that I have on this list, which is The Unkindness of Magicians by Kat Howard. I absolutely love this book. This book is an adult urban fantasy. It takes place in New York City. It follows the magicians of our world, which is considered the unseen world. We're the regular world and then theirs is the unseen world. And basically every so many years they have a tourney of all of the houses that are part of the unseen world, and then they fight, the magicians fight, and then whoever wins that house becomes the leader of the unseen world until the next tourney. And so our story starts off just with a bang, and a girl comes onto the scene who's a magician who no one knows which house she came from, no one has seen her before, and she starts the tourney. It's so good. It's so good. I absolutely loved it. I'm already planning a reread. It's so good. Please read it. Now, the rest of the books are relatively in an order. Not exactly, but relatively in an order, and they all were 5-star reads for me. They're not by any means all of my 5-star reads of the year, but these are the ones that I decided went above and beyond their 5-star read. Starting off with number 10 is Geek Arella by Ashley Poston. I got this book in exchange for a review from Quirk Books, so thank you very much, Quirk Books. And it took me by surprise. Like, I did not think I was gonna like this as much as I did. I thought this was so freaking cute. It's a Cinderella retelling. It's about this girl whose dad was the first to make this big con for a fictional version of like Star Trek or Star Wars, and then he has passed away and she hasn't been to the con since, but she does post on a blog all about this version of Star Trek. Our Prince Charming is the main actor who plays in the new remake. He plays the main character of this fake Star Trek, and she hates him as the character, and they accidentally somehow start texting each other, and there is our Cinderella telling. Oh my gosh, it was so freaking cute. Number 9 is Obsidium by J. Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. This is the 3rd book in the Illuminate files. I gave all of the books 5 stars, but this is the only one I read in 2018. And so I can't talk a lot about this book, but I can talk about the first book. But let me just say, this was a great ending. I love these books. They're told in mixed media format, and they're amazing. Like, such like intrigue, and it's a sci-fi, and it's way more like almost political intrigue than it is sci-fi though, in my opinion, and I absolutely love it. Illuminate is basically a set of files that was given to someone about something that happened, and you're reading it as the person who it was given to is reading it. So you don't really know a lot going into it, and then eventually you find out who the person is that is reading it, who the person is that was giving it, etc, etc. Number 8 is Radical Element, and it was edited by Jessica Spotswood, and this book is a series of short stories, and it's historical fiction, and basically it's just this set of women and young girls all throughout a large span of history who have done extraordinary things, and sometimes that means extraordinary things like within the nuclear family, and sometimes that means big extraordinary things for the greater good of the world or whatever. And it's very feminist, very empowering. It was so cute, so well done. I absolutely loved it. There were some stories that I didn't like as much as others, as with all short stories most of the time that happens, but overall I really loved this. Number 7 is Summer of Salt by Katrina Leno. I freaking loved this book. I'm so excited. This is probably going to be our January 2019 read for the Sassy Book Club, with Chelsea as our official main host, as I've said multiple times throughout these last couple of videos. Chelsea Darling Reads is joining me as a permanent host. We'll still have guest hosts in the Sassy Book Club, but we're probably reading this. It's technically still in a poll as I film this video, but it's winning by a mile, so I'm guessing that this is what we're reading, and I'm so excited to reread it. This book is about 2 girls who are part of this family of witches. They live on this tiny town in this tiny island where every year a bunch of tourists and ornithologists come visit the island because there's this bird, this very rare bird that comes every summer, which is also kind of magical. And there's just this like ambiance of like ethereal magic, like ever knowing feeling, and it's so well done. It's so good. I absolutely loved this book. I can't wait to reread it if this wins, and it was so good. Standing at number 6 are 2 books because I can do that. It's my list. Nevernight and God's Grave by J. Kristoff. This is the first one, this is the sequel. I read both this year. Absolutely loved both of them. I can't talk much about this one since it is a sequel, but they're both so good. This one is definitely, I think, better, but I am so excited to see how the cliffhangers of this book are going to be resolved in the next one. Nevernight is about a girl named Mia Cover who, when she was younger, her dad was murdered and her mom was put in prison, both for treason, and she does not believe that they committed treason, and so she is out for revenge, and she decides to join the Assassin's Church called the Red Church in order to seek that revenge. There's some science, like magic, fantasy stuff in this. This is technically young adult because Mia Cover is 16 at the time of these books, but this has very adult content, lots of sex, lots of violence, lots of inappropriate things. They're so good. This one's just jacket does not want to be on. Both so good. I loved them so much. The next book I have here is Girl Made of Stars by Ashley Herring Blake. This book hurts a lot, and I finished it in a lobby at Honda while getting my car serviced, and it was very embarrassing. This book is about a girl whose twin brother is accused of raping her really good friend at a party, and it's basically just about mostly how she is dealing with the fact that she wants to believe her friend. She believes in believing women, but she also can't fathom how her brother could do such a horrible thing. And so she's just kind of stuck in this emotional turmoil. You also get to see how their parents deal with it, how the friends' parents deal with it, how the school deals with it, and how the other friends deal with it, and it's so interesting. I absolutely love this book. It was so nuanced, and it walked a very fine line because you do get to hear the rapist's point of view about things, and she did an amazing job walking that line, in my opinion, so it was great. Number 4 stands with Renegades by Marissa Meyer. This book is so cool. I freaking loved it. This book is about a girl and a boy, one of which is a renegade, the boy, and the girl is an anarchist. And so in this world, there are superheroes. Think X-Men. The superpowers in this story were so fascinating. They're very different, some things that I've never seen before. And so in this world, superheroes have come into being, and they're public. And back before, the anarchists were in control, and everything was pretty chaotic and stuff. And then at some point, the renegades in the past took over, and they now run the government, they run the police force, like they are everything, and they make everything, you know, easier for the general population. But the anarchists still don't like the renegades and don't like how they run things. And so we follow a girl from the anarchist who decides to infiltrate the renegades in order to get intel and such. And there's also a very slow burn romance in this, which I'm so excited to see in the sequel. The sequel is Arch Enemies. We're actually reading it for our Bibliobook Club. We will be live showing it on the Bibliothon channel in sometime in February probably. The links to the Bibliothon channel and everything are down below if you want to check them out. Our Bibliothon is also happening January 12th through the 18th, so there's a readathon happening. You should go check it out. So yeah, this book, so good. I love the superpowers. I love the romance. It was amazing. Number 3 stands with I Stopped Somewhere, and wow, this book was so good. It is kind of a mystery thriller book, and it's really hard to describe because I did read it quite a while ago and I don't remember everything. The difference of what I knew when I started the book versus what I knew when I finished the book. But you basically follow a girl who's been kidnapped. So freaking good. It's so good. Please read it. It's really rough. Lots of trigger warnings, sexual assault, rape, all kinds of horrible things happen in this book, but like, if you're okay with violence and things, read it. It's so good. Number 2, I have another duo here because I couldn't pick just one, and I read them both this year, and that is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor and Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor, and they were both so good. Laini Taylor has this like way of writing that I haven't seen with any other author, and I know that not everyone loves her writing, but it definitely is a hit for me. There's just something so whimsical and magical about the way that she writes that just makes me love everything about it. I of course can't say much to the sequel because spoilers, but the first one follows Laszlo Strange, and since he was a little kid, he's been obsessed with this magical city that some people don't really think exists because no one's ever seen it and come back. But he's obsessed with it. He likes to play and pretend to be the warriors from this city. And then one day as he's playing in the courtyard, the name of this city suddenly is erased from his mind and replaced with the word weep. And this happens to everyone who once knew the city. And so then from then on, as he grows up, he's still obsessed with this city called Weep. And he learns their language and all this stuff, does all this research. And it's about him finding the city. There's also magic involved. There's other characters involved that you don't know about when you start off. And it's best to go into this book not knowing anything, even though I know some people don't like doing that, but it is the best way. It's so good. And lastly, at number 1, I had to go with The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. It was so good. This book is kind of a contemporary and kind of a historical fiction, depending on how you look at it. It's an adult novel about a woman named Evelyn Hugo who had had 7 husbands in her life. Contemporary-wise, she is telling her story of her life to a news reporter, which she handpicked for the job to make her biography. Then we spend most of our time, historical fiction-wise, in her story while she was an actress in the 40s and 50s in Hollywood. And she's a Cuban American who basically had to strip down her Cuban American heritage and become a blonde white lady in order to succeed. She's also bisexual and had to hide a lot of that. It's just about all of the struggles that she went through. There's a lot of stuff in here. There's abuse, there's bisexuality, which was amazing, and also just kind of sad because it's about a time when that wasn't okay, and just, it was so good. Everything about this is so good. I've never felt more seen as a bisexual woman than I have in this book, like reading wise at least, because it's really hard, I think, for a lot of us who claim bisexuality, like, be seen when we are in relationships, because when we're in relationships, we either are straight presenting or gay presenting, usually, because you're usually in a relationship with one person. And so a lot of people then assume you're either gay or straight depending on who you're in the relationship with. And I think that's really hard to navigate sometimes, and this book did a really good job kind of putting my feelings into words for me, and that I think is why I love this book so much. It was so good. So those are my 10 plus favorite books of 2018. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. What were some of your favorites of 2018? I would love to hear in the comments down below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I make videos every Wednesday and Saturday, although that's changing in the new year, so keep an eye out for when I start posting at different times. You can also always hit that notification bell if you want to be notified every time I post a video, and I'll see you guys very soon with a new one. Bye! I wish I could